Welcome to Facts and Issues, nonpartisan conversations of public interest brought to you by the League of Women Voters of Southern Monmouth County. The topic of today's program is the T. Thomas Fortune Cultural Center with guest Gilda Rogers, Executive Director. Here is our guest host, Lois Kiely.
Thank you very much. And I'm very pleased to be here as a guest host for Facts and Issues. For those of you who may not be familiar with the League, it is a nonpartisan organization that was established in the 1920s to help women register to vote and learn the issues. It is open to men and women in their membership. So today we're going to speak to Gilda Rogers, and I'm very excited about that because I've read a great deal about her. And Gilda is now the Executive Director of the T. Thomas Fortune Cultural Center, which is located in Red Bank, New Jersey. But before we discuss this famous turn-of-the-century African-American journalist, author, orator, writer, and civil rights activist who lends his name to the center, let's get to know a little bit about Gilda. She has been described as the Joan of Arc of the center because she has given so much of her time and energy to its establishment. Gilda, I know that you have a bachelor's degree from Kane University in writing and journalism and a master's degree from Monmouth University in history. I'm also a Monmouth alum, so go Hawks. And you serve as the community relations liaison for the Two River Theater Company. You wear a lot of hats. So Gilda, will you please share with our viewers how your background as a journalist and activist brought you to co-found the T. Thomas Fortune Cultural Center?
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. I just think that it just all meshes with T. Thomas Fortune. We seem to have those things in common. My studying journalism and becoming a journalist, and my activism spirit, my activist spirit. Was pretty much aligned. And I think that's what brought me to want to throw myself into this with everything, with every fiber of my being, to be able to preserve the history of that home and get people to know the importance of T. Thomas Fortune and why that home was so critical to us saving it.
Can you tell us a little bit about the process that you embarked upon to save that home? And I've been there, and it's a beautiful Victorian home, and I know it wasn't always in the condition that it is now. So tell us about that process, please.
Yes, it was a process. I always say I've been on a divine journey. For about 20 years. I first heard the name T. Thomas Fortune when I worked as a managing editor for an African-American weekly newspaper in Newark called City News. And we won the T. Thomas Fortune Award from the Garden State Association of Black Journalists, which is a chapter of the National Association of Black Journalists. I had never heard the name T. Thomas Fortune. I'm like, how do I, accepting this award, and I don't even know who this person is. So I did a little research, found out some things about him, and wondered, wow, how is it that I never heard of him? I've been a student of journalism, and to understand him being this prolific journalist, it was baffling. And so then after that, I was living in Red Bank. Obviously, I would ride past the home. By the time I really started to, pay attention to it, it had been boarded up. The home was boarded up. No one lived there. No one had lived there in a number of years. So it was an eyesore in the community, but it also was something very grand, even though it was in terrible disrepair. When I would ride by home. At that time, I had no idea T. Thomas Fortune lived in it. And when I would ride by the home, I would look at it and say, wow, that's a beautiful, it probably was a grand place in its day.
Gilda,
And
did he live there for 10 or 12 years? I read.
right,
Yeah.
exactly. From 1901 until approximately, I'm going to say around 1911, 1912, the family was there. And at some point around 2007 or 8, um, no, it was when I went back to school to study for my master's in history. That's when I discovered that T. Thomas Fortune had lived in Red Bank. I did some research at the Schomburg Center of African American History and Culture, and I found out he lived in Red Bank. And at that same time, I was approached by the chairman of the Red Bank Historic Commission and by Councilman Ed Zipperich, and they told me then, Gilda, did you know that T. Thomas Fortune lived in this house? And they were having the house put on the 10 most endangered historic sites in the state. And so it all kind of was kind of the same synergy. It came together at the same time. As soon as I discovered that T. Thomas Fortune lived in the house is when I received the information from the councilman and the chairperson of the Red Bank Historical Commission. And from that point on, it was, became my passion.
You had some help from a developer who assisted you in acquiring the house, I believe.
Well, before I had the help from the developer, that didn't come right away. I was able to connect with concerned citizens in the community who were, historic preservationists and valued saving that home once they learned who the home belonged to. We actually hosted and we started going out as a committee. We called ourselves the T. Thomas Fortune Project Committee. And we started to go out in the community to raise awareness, just telling people who T. Thomas Fortune was, bringing attention to the house, just trying to garner public support for what it was that we were hoping we would be able to do. And that was to, save the house, rehabilitate and restore it. And eventually we had lawn signs, bright neon yellow lawn signs that were around the neighborhood that said, "See it, save the T. Thomas Fortune House." And from there is how I connected with Roger Mumford, who's a developer here in Red Bank, because he saw those signs and he wondered who T. Thomas Fortune was. But more importantly, he was looking for something to do to help not just only our community, but our problem when it comes to race and social justice, because this was during a time when a number of African American men were being shot and killed by police officers in the street. From Eric Gardner wasn't shot, but we know the result of how he died. And Walter Scott, Tamir Rice, the young boy that was 12 years old. So Roger is hearing about these kind of things happening.
And he wants to do something positive.
And he wanted to do something positive to, bring harmony to our community as well as the greater society. So that's when he invited me over to his office, and he had did his research, and he said, I think I have a solution to your problem. We hadn't been able to raise enough money that would have ever been able to do the work in the house that needed to be done. We had attracted the state to the project, but the family that owned the house, they rejected the state's offer. And then that's how Roger came on board and said, listen, what if I purchase the property, restore it, rehabilitate it, and deed it over to your organization for $1 for you to run as a cultural center? So our ideas were right, they intersected because before Roger got involved, that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to turn the home into a cultural center because that's what T. Thomas Fortune was all about. All right. He was about a greater humanity for all people. Obviously, he was fighting for the rights of African American people, foremost, but he was aligned with people who were being treated as far as women, you know, unjustifiably in this society. He spoke at a number of suffragist conventions and meetings. He was for marginalized people who were just not being um, treated as human beings in the society as they should. And so that's what we're about. And
Right.
that's what the cultural center is about.
Now, Gilda, there are a lot of things that I have read about the Cultural Center, and I have been there on 2 occasions listening to the speakers. One was a young Mexican dreamer who talked about the problems that she and other dreamers have in terms of, of what they're dealing with in becoming citizens. The other was about white supremacy and microaggression. Both programs were really excellent. Can you tell us a little bit about your speaker program and upcoming speakers?
Yes. I'm really engaged in trying to coordinate and orchestrate great programming for the cultural center and a variety through a variety of mediums, from speakers to book signings
And
to
artwork, I've seen the artwork that is on display. It's
to
magnificent.
artists.
Yeah.
Yes. So, our mission is to uphold the civil rights and social justice legacy of T. Thomas Fortune through education, the arts, community outreach, and public programming.
Now,
So,
Gilda, I read about a program called Fortune Tellers. I believe it's a youth-oriented program. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
it's our young people that we recruit to help us at the cultural center, to get on board with learning history in a non-traditional way outside of the classroom, and to be engaged in their community. So we have young people and that join the Fortune Tellers program, and they bring their talents also to the cultural center, be it writing. We hired this summer our first summer paid summer intern, whose name is Suvi Mondesir. And Suvi has been working with us, committed since she was a sophomore in high school. She's
Great.
now a senior at Fairleigh Dickinson University studying journalism and communication. And so she just fits. She knows the landscape of the T. Thomas Fortune Cultural Center and what we do and what we're about, because she's been with us now since, like well over 5 years or more. And we've seen her grow and progress, as a student, as a young lady, as someone that now is writing for our noteworthy newsletter, so she's getting hands-on experience in actually what she's studying at college. So that's what the Fortune Tellers is all about. Next year, we plan to start giving scholarships to students that are a part of us or have been, in some way attached to us. We have a group of students that we work with from High Tech High School who created an app of a walking tour that includes the steps of Count Basie. And of course, the Fortune Cultural Center is part of the tour, and we have our Count Basie exhibit going on there.
I saw and was very informative and beautifully done. When I was visiting, I met an artist named Alan Burgess, and I know he has a studio in California, but he said that he grew up in the area and he wanted to come back and do something positive and he's contributed a lot of the artwork and signage, I believe.
Yes, well, Alan has been very instrumental in bringing all of who he is, because he's a former resident of Red Bank. He grew up here in Red Bank. He does happen to live in California now, but when we opened our doors back to the public after, being shut down because of COVID-19, we opened on September 25th, 2020, and Alan was our featured artist. He actually created a piece for our Count Basie exhibit about writers. It's a collage about the writers of the Harlem Renaissance. He actually wrote the language for that part of the exhibit. So he actually shared a co-curating, attribute with me. And he came back this summer to be a part of our social justice forums on race, education, and diversity. He's a very knowledgeable young man. He's had some really challenging experiences in his life, highly, intelligent, educated, and has a lot to offer and give. So we were delighted to have him because he's a product of Red Bank.
Yeah. And he not only talks the talk, but he's walked the walk, as it said. Speaking of talent, I understand that you were part of a program called Suffragists Speak. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah.
As a movie star?
Well, I was named after a movie. You do understand that, right? I was named after the movie Gilda.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, with Rita Hayworth. But anyway, Suffragists Speak was a project we embarked on back in, I want to say 2018, that we presented, myself along with my fellow thespians, at the Monmouth County Eastern Branch Library here in Shrewsbury. And I was in the role of Fannie Lou Hamer, and we had other women and a gentleman who portrayed Frederick Douglass.
Yes, I saw that.
Portrays certain people from the suffragist movement, from Alice Paul to it's escaping me, but anyway, it evolved to be something, I think, much more than we had imagined. And it's like we've taken this show on the road now. We were able to receive a grant and have it really videotaped professionally in a professional studio setting, and very polished. And now, we have it that we would like to be able to share it with organizations and schools to use to learn about the suffragist movement and the race component in that movement as well.
So Gilda, how do people who are viewing this obtain Suffragists Speak?
Well, we haven't really put it out there just right yet for everyone to be able to access it, but we're working on that right now. We are working on that to be able to make it available for the public to use in an educational
It's educational way. And it's just delightful and fun to watch as well. So
it was it was great to explore that topic, because we were exploring it because we were coming up on the 100th anniversary of women getting the right to vote. And this is how it all got going. And Peggy Dellinger and Connie Goddard, Lorraine Stone, Ann Torrey, and Antonio Johnson, we all came together in that period of time and created this this project now that I'm very proud of, we're all very proud of,
So
because
you
like I
partnered,
said, it's a
Gilda,
total surprise.
you partnered with, was it the League of Women Voters and the AAUW?
We partnered with the League of Women Voters, correct, AAUW, and the T. Thomas Fortune Cultural Center. So all three of the organizations are involved in this project.
It,
Yes.
it's a wonderful piece, and when you make it available to the public, uh, we'll help you publicize it.
Oh, yes, yes. We want as many organizations and schools that feel as though that they could benefit from seeing this, because it just really gives history, a slice of history, in a way that I never heard it before in school,
Mhm.
so I know it's something good for the general public.
Of course. And I also understand that the T. Thomas Fortune Center is on the map for Old Monmouth as an Old Monmouth destination. And I don't know if the viewers know, but once a year, the county puts on a tour called Old Monmouth, visiting Old Monmouth, a weekend at Old Monmouth, I think it is. And there's a map that goes out. You can get it in the library in various places. And everything is open that it relates to a cultural center or something historical. And people can just take the map and go from place to place to place. And it's just a wonderful offering of Monmouth County. So I'm thrilled that the T. Thomas Fortune Center is on it. And I think you're only the second of African American sites that is on in the whole state that has this honor.
What most people don't know is that the T. Thomas Fortune Cultural Center is only one of two National Historic Landmarks in the state of New Jersey that's devoted to African American heritage. It's the T. Thomas Fortune Cultural Center and Hinchliffe Stadium, where the old National Negro League Baseball League played up in Patterson. There are other African American historic sites on the historic registry, but we are only one of two National Historic Landmarks, which really, is the highest
Very impressive.
designation
Very,
of
very impressive.
historic preservation. We've been honored by the Society of Professional Journalists as a historic journalism site. They presented us with a beautiful plaque that you'll see on the house when you come up to the front door. So we're just really honored
And
and
Gilda,
grateful.
wait a minute. Speaking of honors, I have to mention that you are going to be honored on October 15th by the National Council of Negro Women, and that you have also been honored by the Jersey Club of National Association of Negro Business and Professional Women's Clubs, and the Thomas Fortune Cultural Center was honored by a Community Service Award from Monmouth Arts. So there are a lot of kudos coming your way, and you certainly deserve it. Gilda, we only have 3 more minutes. I have a lot more notes, but we only have 3 more minutes. So is there anything in closing that you would like the public to know about how they can access the T. Thomas Fortune Center and how it is a vital part of not only Red Bank, but New Jersey?
I always say this, like, we want to be known as a resource in the community where people can access us, not just we have a library in the cultural center for research. We carry a collection of books that, a number of them you will not find in your mainstream libraries. We obviously are about education. So we want schools coming in to tour and to give students a different experience. And we're right here in the backyard, right here in Monmouth County. We're new. We're like the new kids on the block. But but we're doing a lot of things, and we're raising a lot of awareness about social justice and how we can work together. And I just want to say this before we close. And so this is what we're about, social justice. And we try to bring it to the community in a number of various ways, through the arts, through education, public programming, and community outreach. And I'm just grateful, and I have to thank all of our board members and our volunteers who helped me to be able to make this happen. You
Well,
know,
Thomas Fortune would be very proud of all the work that's going on, very proud of you and the people who made this possible.
yeah, visit our website.
Oh, and your website is fabulous.
Visit our website. Visit our website, and you'll go onto our events calendar, and you'll see all the events that take place at the Cultural Center.
And there are many of them. Thank you very much, Gilda Rogers. This is Lois Kiely for the League of Women Voters. We hope you'll join us on our next presentation.